All right, and welcome back to the Rush Hour Roundtable. We do have an update on a story that we've been tracking out of Illinois. One county outside of Chicago filing a lawsuit arguing Illinois' law to end cash bail is unconstitutional. So starting on January 1st, that new law means that Illinois would eliminate the state's cash bail system, leaving judges to determine whether a person should be released based on a public safety evaluation rather than posting cash bail while they await trial. Now, judges will be able to deny pretrial release if the suspect poses specific, real, and present threat to any person or the community, or if they were accused of sex crimes, kidnapping, threats, robbery, murder, battery, DUI, and the list goes on. So supporters of the bill argue that the cash bail system disproportionately impacts minority communities. Critics say it will lead to potentially violent people being released onto our streets.
People charged with crimes are supposed to be presumed innocent until they're proven guilty. But today, under our current system, that presumption is turned on its head because people who are accused of a crime are held in jail oftentimes simply because they can't afford to pay a certain amount of money.
The neighborhoods that suffer the most from systemic violent crime are minority communities that are going to have individuals released and back committing more crimes in those neighborhoods at a higher rate under this bill.
So, panel, do you think that this will help minority communities who are disproportionately impacted by the cash bail system, or will this lead to a spike in crime? I actually want to start, Jason, I saw you reacting there.
Oh, I think this is obviously going to hurt a lot of people. Tell me the place right now that has no cash bail that is thriving. You can't, because it's happening in Los Angeles, it's happening in New York City, and what it turns out, and I know this might be shocking to some folks on the left, that when you take people who are dangerous and you simply release them back into public without any consequences for their behavior, they recommit. And you create this culture of lawlessness that gets worse and worse and worse. Cash bail is there for a reason. And yes, it does impact some people disproportionately. That doesn't mean that they didn't commit any of the acts of violence of which they are accused. That we're talking about this in the context of murder, second degree or otherwise, is absurd.
Angela, I want to bring in your legal perspective here. Is it absurd?
So I have strong feelings about this because I think that many people mischaracterize this. Like Jason just said, he is claiming here that these people will be back on the streets immediately. Everyone will be released. But this is not what the bill says. The bill gives the discretion to judges to make sure that people who have more of a propensity or more likely to go back and recommit a crime or pose a threat to society, a threat to the safety of the community, will be held. So it's not saying everybody will be released immediately. Cash bail fundamentally as a concept is entirely inequitable. If you're going to say that somebody can rot in jail for years prior to a trial only because they cannot afford bail is just crazy and just so antithetical to our Constitution.
And if the bill, by the way, changes the bar.
If we really believe in due process, then we know that we need to do better. You know, not too long ago, I had Reverend William Barber, co-chair of the Poor People's Campaign, as a guest on my show, More Perfect Union, on KBLA Talk 1580. And he reminded us that at the beginning of the Constitution, it says, you know, we the people, in order to form a more perfect union, we establish justice. And that's exactly what this Illinois bill does, is establishes justice. You know, you shouldn't have to rot away in jail awaiting your trial when you've been accused of a crime. You've been convicted of the crime, you've been accused of the crime, right? And so I think, you know, this bill is an example of what's possible when we give judges the discretion to be able to allow folks to not be subject to having to sit in a jail cell simply because they can't afford bail.
Megan, what do you think? What is your take on this?
I don't think well, part of the problem here is that we're talking about this in sort of a very theoretical plane when we don't need to talk about it at that level. The fact of the matter is these things have been tested and tried. We saw that Houston adopted something like this, and they came out with a report that showed that, yes, they did have spiking crime rates as a result of it. We've had a lot of police unions. We've had officers shot because of recidivism when people were released out without cash bail. And so what we're seeing is that statistically, we can look at the crime rates and go, it's really not a theoretical question. We know what the result is now. And that's why even in places that are very liberal, like San Francisco, you have citizens there saying, we don't want this. We don't like the results that we're seeing from this. And they're recalling their DAs and other government officials based on that because they're not happy with this system. So I don't know how you look at these spiking crime rates and you don't have a serious conversation about the impact of this that isn't just purely, look, we need to consider the preamble of the Constitution. That's fine. I'm open to those legal discussions. Maybe there are solutions here, but I don't think the solution is to say, even if you are charged with a crime that is very serious, that is violent, including drug-induced homicide, that's one of the things that's on the table here in Chicago, that we're going to go ahead and let you out and just trust that you're not going to commit any crimes. And another part of this is the fact that even when these are people who are under electronic surveillance and they're being monitored, this law says that for 48 hours, they can go on and if they violate parole, the police can't respond to that for 48 hours. Well, think how much damage can be done in 48 hours. So this particular law is really extreme and it should be really concerning.
I actually think this law should give judges even more discretion. And that is one of my concerns, because I think here this law does not actually allow them to consider more than flight risk in some circumstances. And that is not okay to me. So I think just like we let judges have so much discretion in sentencing, in the same way, we are trusting them to decide the fate of the safety of these communities. And that is important. Anybody who actually supports cash bail in terms of a money component being responsible for determining whether or not you rot in jail or you get released is just so inequitable.
So just real quickly on the inequitable argument, pushing aside this particular bill, someone is seen on camera molesting a child. Do you think they should be subject to no bail whatsoever? Why should they rot in jail? I mean, they haven't been convicted. It is an absurd position to just throw that across the board.
No, what you're doing is you are, first of all, that is not what this bill does. This bill, again, it gives the judges the discretion, the final word to decide.
I'm sorry, but that is not correct. It does not merely just give someone the discretion. No, it doesn't. It is very specific. It has a higher bar, and you know as a lawyer, it has a higher bar on the judges, this particular law. It is not what it once was. It wasn't just giving the discretion, as you just pointed out. It is a higher bar. It is a specific threat that the judge has to look at.
Okay, so yes, as I said,
we are right up against our time, but Angela, I do want to bring you in with a final word on this, and I do want to bring one piece of context into this conversation. I think it is so important to look at precedents and context, and I'm glad Megan brought in that example earlier. We do know that New Jersey also overhauled its bail system in 2017, and it found that people released under that new system were no more likely to commit a crime while waiting for their trials than those released under money bail. I do want to go back to you, Angela, one more time as we take a look at that statistic. What are your thoughts as we close out this topic?
I agree. So there's also a problem when you hold these people in jail who then lose their jobs, they lose their homes. And if you do think that money is a reason why people go out and commit crimes, it simply increases that. So I don't think you can say across the board cashless bail is going to lead to this result.
Okay, we have a lot more to talk about, panel. I certainly appreciate you being here, and we will be right back.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.